Barboza. Just running through all the fights. Probably not going to go through much detail for a lot of them, but the main event and a few of the fights on the main card are pretty solid as well. So we're going to go through some of those in a bit more detail, but quick picks, post weigh-ins as well. One of the fights got cancelled. There was a weight miss. But let's go through the picks. So starting off with Ashley Yoder versus Emily Ducote. I'll be taking Emily Ducote. She's a better fighter. She's fought actually good opponents. And I actually rate her as a fighter. So, and I don't rate her that much, but Ashley Yoder's not good in any way. She's on like a losing streak, I'm pretty sure. Hasn't fought in a minute. So I'm taking Emily Ducote probably by decision because it's women's MMA. The next fight, Chris Guitierrez versus Alatangheili. Chris Guitierrez is a confident pick on this card for me. He's a ranked fighter, so I'm really not sure why he's fighting this low down. He was going to fight Montel Jackson last week, but he did. That fight got cancelled. Montel Jackson pulled out, so they just pushed him back a week. And Alatangheili was going to fight Ronnie Yaya. So that's all you really need to know. Gutierrez KO'd Frankie Edgar. I know it was kind of like a washed Frankie Edgar, but still, he's looked pretty good. He held up with Munoz relatively competitively. And he's not all that bad of a fighter. So I'll be taking Chris Gutierrez to win. He might get a finish, but I'll go unanimous decision. I think he'll be pretty dominant in this fight. The next fight is Irina Alekseeva versus Melissa Dixon. I'll actually be taking Irina Alekseeva. I think she's actually an underdog here. I liked her last performance. I think she actually looked pretty good. I don't know a lot about Melissa Dixon, but I actually think Alekseeva is not too bad. So I'll be taking her to win, probably just a close 29-28 unanimous or split or unanimous decision. But I actually think she can get this one done. So I'll be taking Irina Alekseeva. The next fight is Terrance Mckinney versus, I think it's Kevin Marotte. I'll be taking Terrance Mckinney, obviously. They're giving him another layup. He was going to fight Chris Duncan, which actually was going to be a pretty close and difficult fight to predict. But now he's fighting a guy coming in. I think he's 8-1, but he's basically only 4 cans. So McKinney should just blitz him and TKO him in the first round, and that'll be my official call. First round TKO. Maybe get a sub, but I'm leaning TKO in the first round, just using that speed advantage that he'll have. The next one, Tainara Lisboa versus Maia Oliveira. I would take Tainara Lisboa. She looked pretty good in her last fight against Jessica Rose Clark. So I kind of, even though Jessica Rose Clark ain't that good, I do kind of rate that performance decently. And yeah, she looks alright. Again, women's MMA, I have no idea. Probably a decision win for Lisboa. Darren Elkins versus TJ Brown. I'll be taking TJ Brown in this fight. I think he could get a finish or just win a close-ish back and forth decision, because Darren Elkins has been around for ages. He's taken a lot of damage, and I think he's just going to slowly not be as dangerous in every fight that he has. And I think TJ Brown's just going to be a little bit better, be able to take the shots better than Darren Elkins, and I think he's just going to win the brawl against a guy who's not all that technical and not all that good at this point in his career. Moving up the card, Christian Rodriguez versus Cameron Saaiman. This one, somehow, Christian Rodriguez is a sizable favorite. Cameron Saiman's plus 120. Rodriguez is minus 150 or so. I don't know why. I'm taking Cameron Saaiman to win. And I think he could honestly get a submission, but I'm going to go unanimous decision for Cameron Saaiman. Maybe they're saying because he beat Rosas Jr., but I don't rate Rosas Jr. that highly at this point in his career, even though he did just KO Terrence Mitchell. That was a layup fight for him. So I'm picking Cameron Saaiman. I think Rodriguez struggled in the first round with Rosas. He lost that first round on all the scorecards, and he wasn't able to fend off the grappling that well. So I think Cameron Saiman's way better than Raul Rosas Jr., and I think he's going to take him down and dominate him. Moving up the card, so Shiraz versus Lacerda got cancelled. I was obviously going to pick Shiraz in this fight, but Lacerda pulled out. Next one, Andre Petroski versus Michel Pereira. This is where it gets interesting. These are some of the better fights on the card. So I'll actually be taking Michel Pereira. I think he can get it done, just being using his kind of awkwardness and being athletic. I think Petroski taking it on short notice, not going to be too prepared. Pereira was preparing to fight Marc-Andre Barriel, similar-ish style, not so much of the grappling on that side. But I think he can just use his athleticism and strength to fend off takedowns from Petroski. And after that GM3 fight, I'm not all that high on Petroski as a fighter or as a prospect in the middleweight division. So I think Michel Pereira is going to TKO him, or maybe flatline KO him, because I just don't rate Petroski's stand-up. He looked really bad on the feet against GM3. And I know we like to say GM3 is the GOAT, but it's just not all that of an impressive performance. Like, it's not something I can get behind. So I'll be taking Michel Pereira pretty confidently. I think he's going to get a finish in this one. But we move on. So this is a pretty close fight. It's a difficult one to predict. And I've been leaning with Yanez, so that's the way that I'm going to go for this one. Look, I was thinking Yanez is going to win. I was like, I'm confident on Yanez. A lot of people picking Martinez, so I kind of like rethought. I was like, oh, maybe I'm not on here. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Yanez. I think he's a bit more dangerous with the punches. I think he's going to land better on the end of his shots. And I think it's just going to hurt Martinez throughout the fight. Maybe get a finish, but I'm leaning towards a unanimous decision or split decision. I'm leaning towards a split decision win for Adrian Yanez. I think he's going to have made some good adjustments since the fight with Rob Font, and I think he's going to look pretty good here and have a good return and let people know that Rob Font fight is not like the write-off for his career. But if he loses to Martinez, that's going to be tough. And then it'll be difficult to see where he goes from there. But we move on up the card to Jennifer Maia versus Viviane Araujo. I'll be taking Jennifer Maia. I think Yanez versus Martinez should be the co-main event spot, to be honest. But nonetheless, I'll be taking Jennifer Maia. I think she's just better. I think she's going to just score points and like outdo Araujo on the feet over 3 rounds. So she looked pretty good against Casey O'Neill in her last fight, which I picked her to win back in March. So solid performance there, and I think she's going to replicate a similar thing here. She's actually got pretty decent boxing for a women's fighter, so she should win that fight. But finally, we move to the main event. It's Edson Barboza versus Sodiq Yusuff. And again, another really close one that I'm going to be going with an underdog. I'm picking Edson Barboza in this fight. I think he's just going to do damage to Sodiq Yusuff. So in this fight, look, a lot of people are like, oh, Barboza, if he got the Billy Q fight, which I think was really good. Like that KO was very impressive for me. But a lot of people weren't as impressed by that. They're like, whatever. Because they're like, oh, Billy Q's like a bit iffy, but I think that was a really good performance, and I think he could do a similar thing to Yusuff here. Sodiq Yusuff, look, he's a really solid fighter, but he's inactive, and I just don't trust that for him. I don't know how much he's been like working on his game. I don't know what he's been doing, but he hasn't fought in a while. He's not tasting competition. Like, he's not fighting these high-level guys and like having to go through the training camps a lot, which isn't a good sign for me, to be honest. I know it was a while ago, but like that Shane Burgos performance that Edson Barboza had is something that I look towards and something that I think he could probably replicate here, to be honest. Of just not getting pressured back, and then he exchanges so well and just puts damage on people. Like, he damages you at the end of all of his combinations. Like, you don't get away with bad defense against this guy. And I could see Sodiq Yusuff leaving himself open for some leg kicks, leaving himself open for some punches that'll just crack him and rock him. Like, he got hurt against like Andre Fili a few times. He gets hurt in other fights a little bit. It's not like he's got like a bad chin or anything, but look, the Arnold Allen fight hasn't aged badly, but still, I just don't know. Something about it, I think this is going to be an Edson Barboza that just shows up well, quick. He's still he's obviously not in his prime, but he still looks really, really good. So I'll be taking Edson Barboza to just put more damage on the end of his shots and wear away at Sodiq Yusuff, who also has a bit of a cardio issue, in my opinion. Look, neither of them have an amazing cardio, so if this goes long, it'll just be interesting to see who can actually like hold up with the cardio. But I'll back Edson Barboza to just do a little bit better overall, to be honest. So those are the picks. I'm taking Barboza, Maia, Yanez, Saaiman, all of that, Pereira, TJ Brown, all of that. prelims, whatever. Who gives a fuck? I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, everyone.